Over the course of time, the NBA has had countless unforgettable moments and records from some of the greatest players to ever play the game. Wilt's 100 points, LeBron's all-time scoring record, 11 championships in a career, and a team going 73-9. But these are very well-known records. What about the ones that you've never heard of that seem like they aren't even possible? Here are the craziest NBA records that you've never heard of. In Michael Jordan's first retirement season, there was a man coming for the throne, Yinka Dar.
Who are you?
Yinka was a center from Nigeria drafted by the Brooklyn Nets. He missed his first season due to a torn ACL, and in his second season in the NBA, he did the impossible. In the 1995-96 season, Yinka played a total of 58 games, averaging 11 minutes per game. And he had a grand total of 0 assists across the entirety of the season. Our boy was playing like a prime Michael Porter Jr. at the center position. But it wasn't like he was shot chucking. He just didn't give any of his teammates open looks. On his career, he averages .03 assists, while only having 2 of his 4 seasons in the NBA averaging .1 assists. And what's even funnier is that his career high in assists is 1. He played a total of 110 games where he totaled 4 assists, basically having 1 assist every 27 games. Pretty wild to think about. You're in the NBA, homie, do something. It's even harder to comprehend by looking at what's on the screen right now. I'm honestly more impressed with this feat than I am about Wilt's 100-point game. This next record is one that should have never happened, and it'll probably never be broken. Every NBA fan knows that once you get 6 fouls that you'll be on the bench for the rest of the game. That is, unless your name is Cal Boldler. Cal was in his rookie season after being the Hawks' first-round draft pick in the 1999 NBA draft. The game was a blowout, which gave our boy the chance to show off his talents in garbage time. Cal became the first player in NBA history to record 7 fouls in a single game. In 15 minutes of play, he got 6 fouls, but the refs weren't paying attention, or getting paid, and left him in the game. After getting yet another foul, the refs realized that he should have been out of the game a while ago, and sent him to the bench with one of the most unique stat lines in NBA history, and a record that will never be broken. His absurd 7 fouls in under 15 minutes is honestly pretty impressive. He hilariously averaged 1 foul every 2 minutes. Next up, we got the single worst shooting performance that I have ever seen in NBA history. We're going all the way back to the 1947-48 season, coming a few years off of World War II. And our boy Joe Fulks was letting bombs rip, literally. Joe set the record that still stands today for the most missed shots in a single game. On this record-breaking night, he shot 13 for 55 from the field, missing a total of 42 field goals. It's worth stating that shooting nights like these weren't all that uncommon in this year, because motherfuckers were just shooting with no understanding of the game of basketball. Our boy Joe also had nights where he shot 4 for 31, 6 for 38, 5 for 31, 7 for 36, 7 for 40, and 8 for 46. If I were to compare a current NBA player to our boy Joe Fulks, it would have to be Marcus Smart. Smart somehow has the green light with the Celtics to shoot whenever he felt open, so it's safe to say if he played in the 40s, he would have put up some record-breaking nights, and not in a good way. To put things into perspective, here are some of the worst shooting performances in NBA history in regards to missed field goals. You can find Kobe making an appearance with 30 missed field goals in 2002. You'll find all-time legends like George Mikan, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and Rick Barry alongside these horrific shooting performances. As we claw our way to the top, we see our boy Joe Fulks more than once. I guess you can say he didn't give a fulk. Oh, and all of these are Wilt Chamberlain. That boy was shooting, and not just on the court, if you know what I mean. Joe had an interesting basketball career. He averaged a respectable 16 points per game, but he did it on 30% shooting from the field. And when the lights got bright in the playoffs, he shot an even worse 26% from the field. In the highest scoring season of his career, Joe averaged 26 points per game. Not bad, right? But on 28 shots per night, a brutal average of 1 point per shot taken. But let's go back to recent NBA history. We got a record that requires great teamwork. This one's held by the 2010-11 Cavs and the 2013-14 76ers. Cleveland was in the midst of its first season post-LeBron, where they realized he was their entire franchise. And Philly decided to go all in on the process. They shared the longest losing streak in NBA history at 26 games. They essentially spent 31% of the season losing games back to back to back to back to back to back. And in other words, each team went 7.5 weeks without winning a game, or 75 plus days of constant losing. Even though they set this NBA record, both teams avoided having the worst win-loss record ever, which is held by the 72-73 Philadelphia 76ers, who had a brutal record of 9-73. But holy if I was on a team that lost 26 games in a row, I'd retire from the NBA and hop into a submarine and go visit the Titans. The result from a horrible season and the worst losing streak in NBA history for the Cavaliers was being rewarded with the first overall pick in the draft, which gifted them Kyrie Irving. And the 76ers got the third overall pick in the draft in 2014, which got them their franchise center in Joel Embiid. It's safe to say that the losing was worth it in this scenario. Our next record actually happened these past playoffs in the second round. The 76ers faced off against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Harden dropped 45 points as the Sixers won, which means that our record holder PJ Tucker didn't have to do shit on offense. PJ set the record for the longest time played in a game without attempting a single shot. He played nearly 37 minutes without attempting a single field goal or a single free throw. It's pretty impressive. How can you go that long without even looking at the rim? Some players can't even think about playing 37 minutes without shooting. Joe Fulks. PJ beat the record previously set by Bruce Bowen on the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals in 2005. Congratulations, PJ! And last but not least, we're going all the way back to the 1950-51 NBA season where a George Mikan-led Minneapolis Lakers team faced off against the Fort Wayne Pistons in what still stands today as the record for the lowest scoring game in NBA history. The final score of our record-breaking game was, wait for it, don't get too excited, 19-18 for the Fort Wayne Pistons, which combines for a total of 37 points. This record is so crazy even for 1950s basketball, because in this season, every team combined for 84 points per game, nearly double what the total score of this game was. This performance was just an anomaly. The Pistons went the rest of the season without ever scoring less than 64 points, and the Lakers went on to never score less than 63 points in a game. Mikan scored 15 of the Lakers' 18 points, with only 2 other players scoring, and no player scored more than 5 points for the Pistons. If I bought tickets to this game, I'd probably be looking for a refund or a bed to sleep on in the stands. When you look at some of the lowest scoring games in NBA history, you'll find 10 matchups that don't even reach 100 points, which is rare enough to begin with. For the most part, the rest of the games just surpass the century mark. And to no surprise, all the games that you see on the screen right now happened between 1946 and 1953. If the players that played back then saw what was going on nowadays in the NBA, I'd think they'd have a heart attack. Not too bad of a list, huh? Oh wait, there they are. The lowest scoring game in NBA history. With their 37 points, it's not even half of the next closest low scoring game. This might be the record that never gets broken. The reason behind this record and the lowest scoring games in NBA history was because there was no shot clock prior to the 1954 season. It was common for teams to use the strategy of getting the lead in the game and holding onto the ball for as long as possible until the game clock ran out, which is exactly what the Fort Wayne Pistons did. In the NBA's first season with the shot clock, it proved that it worked. The season prior to the shot clock being added, teams averaged 80 points per game. And the very next season, it spiked up to 94 points per game. To put this embarrassment of a game into context, this is Klay Thompson. He scored 37 points one time. In a quarter. It took him 13 shots in 12 minutes to score just as much as 2 teams combined to score in 48 minutes. Klay would have single-handedly beat both of these teams. To add on to this record, the 2 lowest scoring games by one team in NBA history were by... in first place, it's the Lakers, and in second place, it's the Pistons. It's crazy to think that they both happened in the same game. Anyways, those are some of the wackiest NBA records that I was able to find. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know if I should make a part 2. And if you didn't enjoy, well then let me know and I'll just delete my channel. See ya.